Succession and population growth. First thing we'll talk about is succession, or the change in ecosystem over time. There's two primary ways it happens. There's the initial or primary type of succession, in which you have new land that's established and it eventually changes to develop into something like a forest. Then once that ecosystem is established, as time goes on, events happen, in this case like a forest fire or competition between species, and the ecosystem can be reestablished with more mature organisms. In this case, step 8 is what we call a climax community of old growth forest. It's an ecosystem that's been around for a long time, is well established, and is a result of many years of succession. Populations, we describe them kind of using 4 main ideas. A population size, in other words, how many things are there. Density, how many organisms there are per area. Dispersion, which is related to density, but it's more of the patterns in which the organisms cover the area. Are they grouped up? Are they spread out evenly? Do they live in little pockets and families? And then population growth, is it going up? Is it going down? Is it staying the same? 2 types of population growth: exponential, in which there are no limits. If you've ever been in math and looked at an exponential series, you see how quickly it grows. Logistical growth is population growth that has limits on it, and the growth patterns change over time. So what can affect population growth? One of which is birth rate. How fast are new babies born? There are a couple things that are built into that. How fast do animals have babies? Like mice have babies, at 6 weeks old. Humans have babies, into teens or 20s or 30s. So how long they wait until they're reproductively mature? How many babies do they have at a time? Is it 1? Is it 10? Is it 1,000? And how often do they have them? Do they mate yearly? Do they mate once in a lifetime? This all leads to to birth rate. Death rate is how fast things die. An animal has a lifespan. Does it typically live, a day, a week, a year, 10 years, 100 years? And death rate also includes predation and disease and anything that causes organisms to die. The balance between birth rate and death rate affects growth. Also, outside of birth and death, organisms can migrate. Immigration, organisms can move into an area, and emigration, they can move out, which affects the population size. Limiting factors to growth are, the battle over habitat resources, competing for food, water, shelter, and the balance of that leads to what we call the carrying capacity. An ecosystem can only hold so many individuals of a certain kind because of limited resources, and that carrying capacity can change over time. But this is what leads to that logistical growth. As populations reach closer and closer to that carrying capacity, growth slows. And another pattern we see is the predator-prey relationship. The predator population is at the bottom. The prey population, is the top line. You have a high number of prey initially and a small number of predators, but because food is so available, the predators can feed more, reproduce more. Their numbers start to grow. Well, as predators start to grow, they feed on more prey, which brings the prey number down. As prey number drops, then the competition gets tougher on the predator. There are less, more death rate amongst predators. Then therefore their numbers drop, which then lowers the stress on prey, and then their populations increase. And then the predator responds, and then the prey responds to that. Sometimes in nature, these things are referred to as arms races. But we constantly see this cyclical predator-prey pattern over time. And those are the main factors that we'll talk about with succession and population growth.